Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the 1959 comedy classic Some Like It Hot, starring Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon, and Tony Curtis. Excuse me. Of course, this is one of the first, if not the first movie, where you have guys cross-dressing as women just to get away from something, or to get a break or something. And that's what happened. That's what pretty much happens in this movie. The main characters. Thank you. I happens all the time to do one of these videos, folks. And it's an occupation it has with me. Anyway, this movie is about the main characters are Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, who play two jazz musicians. We also have to understand this movie takes place in 1929, which is very important for the plot of this film, which I eventually want to get into. So this movie takes place in 1929, and Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis play two jazz musicians, and they've been friends for a long time, and the place that they were working in ends up getting raided by the cops. So now they're out of a job, and they're going from place to place all over Chicago, and they can't get a job. And it says, and they heard if they're going to Florida, they may have a shot at getting maybe a job down in Florida. So while they're trying to negotiate, get in this garage, trying to get some gas for a car they're borrowing, they happen to run into the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. So, and these two guys, and Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis' characters, were the only two witnesses. So the mobsters who put the hit, on the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, are looking for these two guys so they could bump them off. Well, they did that. They heard that there's this old girl band who's going to go down to Florida, and so what Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis happened to do was to disguise themselves as women, get on this train, and go down to Florida. And a good chunk of this, and that's what they did. So this is like the first real cross-dressing film, in my opinion. And I don't know if there's any movies that came out before this where guys disguise themselves as women. But this is one of the first instances that they did that. And on their way there, they happened to run, or as they were about to get on the train, they happened to run into Marilyn Monroe, who was a band member. She would play a ukulele and do some singing. And Marilyn Monroe could actually really sing. So she was not. Anytime when she was in a movie and she did some singing, she wasn't faking that, folks. She was not. So Tony Curtis falls in love with Marilyn Monroe, even though he had to keep his composure because there's supposed to be a woman in this for the majority of this movie. Well, they eventually get down to Florida, and Tony Curtis gets out of the women's outfit and disguises himself as a rich guy, romances Marilyn Monroe, pretends he owns a yacht, so he gets on this empty yacht and pretends that he's a rich guy to impress Marilyn Monroe. And of course, that stuff works. And meanwhile, Jack Lemmon's character ends up a guy who is a rich guy who's been married time and time again, gets the hots for Jack Lemmon's character. And naturally, of course, you're always going to have a plot where a guy who's dressed up as a woman and a regular guy, and it doesn't have to be rich like in this movie, but a guy happens to fall in love with the guy dressed up as a woman. That's what happens with Jack Lemmon's characters. And meanwhile, where all these other shenanigans was going on, the mob actually does get down to Florida because they had like a mob convention down in Florida, and they realize that the two guys who witnessed the massacre, the Valentine's Day Massacre, was down in Florida. So the mobsters were looking for these two guys, and they happen to find them. Big shock, right? They happen to find these two guys, and then what they had was this old hunt for these two guys. And meanwhile, they had this real crazy chasing, and the guys who put on the hit for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, they all end up getting killed. Those particular mobsters got killed. But the rest of the mobsters were going for these two guys because they witnessed the massacre. The guys who set up the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Right? So anyway, that's crazy. Every time I do this video, I get some kind of message on my phone. So what happens is the two guys Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis have us to escape on the boat from the guy who had the hots for Jack Lemmon's character, and Marilyn Monroe went along, and Tony Curtis confesses to Marilyn Monroe that he's not as rich as he said. He was pretending to be rich to impress her. And he said, "Well, I don't care anymore. I love you," and all that stuff. And Jack Lemmon says to this rich guy, says, "Hey, I'm not a woman. I'm a man." And he takes the wig off, and you see he's a man. He says, "Look, I'm a man, and I'm not a woman, pretending to be a guy to get away from these mobsters." And the guy says, has to be one of the funniest lines to end the movie with. He says, "Nobody's perfect." and the guy didn't get mad or anything. And he says, nobody's perfect, and that's how the movie is. But this is definitely one of the longest Marilyn Monroe films. It was for 2 hours, and it's definitely one. It's not the last Marilyn Monroe film. The last one she did was a movie called The Misfits, which was also the last movie for Clark Gable's career, as well as Marilyn Monroe's career. Because as we know, the Kennedys killed her, right? Jack Kennedy and brother Bobby Kennedy killed Marilyn Monroe. We all know that. Because the day during this video is the day before the anniversary of her death, so it just so happens to work out that way. That's why we're reviewing a lot of the Marilyn Monroe movies lately. But Something Like a Heart is one of the better Marilyn Monroe films, and it's definitely one of the last ones that she did. And this is the first movie she did in about 2 years. But like I said earlier, this was really the first of the cross-dressing movie genre, and he didn't really have a really good one until Tootsie in 1982. So it was a long time, from 1959 to like what is it, 23 years since you had a decent cross-dressing film. And then of course you have Victor Victoria the same year as Tootsie. It came out earlier in the year of 1982, and then the next year you had Yentl with Barbra Streisand. And then decade, like 11 years later, you have Mrs. Doubtfire. So like every few years you have a successful, you haven't had a successful cross-dressing film since Mrs. Doubtfire, in my opinion. But Something Like a Heart was the first in this cross-dressing genre. And, if you have three good actors in there, as Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Marilyn Monroe, and it's co-written and directed by Billy Wilder, I think it was. It's going to be a pretty decent film. So that's my review of the movie Something Like a Heart. Please click on the video, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at RallyC.com, so WDY, and C.com. That's the homepage of Rally Reviewer, Christy Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.